being a vampire's familiar is like being a best friend who's also a slave.
You're listening to Vampire Council Episode 2, a What We Do in the Shadows podcast. I'm Matt Dursin.
Clay Inferno.
And Sam, why don't you just introduce yourself?
I'm Sam Furst.
Great. Yeah, you're a co-host on this one. You're not like our special guest anymore.
Yeah,
I mean, you're special.
He
I'm
doesn't know
special, all right.
The
You're
protocol.
special. But we
the
don't
protocol
need to.
of the other
yeah.
show is that we do it by order of seniority and
greatness.
and
Greatness.
So,
seniority.
Seniority. Senior.
Yeah.
So
I thought it was greatness. But anyways, welcome. Thanks for
you're
everybody.
Always one.
Yeah. Hey, just worked out that way. Anyway, thanks for everybody who listened to our first episode of this podcast last week.
You.
It was, thanks to you. We got a lot of hits on our site, and I don't know how to track hits on like Spotify and Stitcher and stuff, but I hope we got a lot of it.
They don't let you unless you're like really have like a Disgrace Lands or something. Then they share the info with you, but they don't let us little people.
No, little people like us. No, we don't get to see if anybody listens. But I mean, hey, thanks. However you did it, if you listened, thanks. And if you came back again, well, hey, thanks.
Good on you.
Good on you. So we're going to talk about episode 4 of season 2 of What We Do in the Shadows, The Curse.
The Curse.
The Curse. Vampires, they know a lot about curses, apparently.
Well, it's the curse of Bloody Mary.
Yeah.
And
so, classic.
Now, I do have to ask if you guys, are you guys watching this on Hulu, or are you guys watching this somewhere else?
On demand,
because it was not on Hulu the next day, as it was so advertised to be.
Oh, really?
It showed up really late in the afternoon, dude. It showed up at like, I checked at like 3 or 4, and it was there.
Oh, really?
And I expected it to be like 12 hours earlier. And then I started asking myself, I said, so, how did you watch this last year? And I did watch it at 3 a.m. because I had bought the season. Because what I wanted to do was, I was like, oh, we obviously want to record today. And then I was like, it's weird that it's not on Hulu. I was like, I'll just buy the one episode and then figure it out for next week. But yeah, I looked in there and it said I had all of last season and just, I bought today's. And then a few hours later, I was like, oh, look, I didn't need to buy it. But oh well, it's money well spent. We have a podcast, so what's $3?
Yeah,
give it to those guys.
Well, yeah, I still have cable. I'm one of those chumps, so I just watched it on demand. It airs obviously Wednesday nights at 10, which is a little late. I'm old.
What time did it come on?
I think it comes on at 10 p.m. Eastern time.
I can believe it is 10 p.m.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah.
Yeah, I ended up using the FX app.
Oh yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah. Yeah, it's so Hulu is a little slow on the draw, I guess. What are you gonna do?
Well, maybe it was that's just their license.
Maybe they're on New Zealand time. Anyways, yeah, another classic. But yeah, vampires they don't believe in ghosts, but they're very familiar with curses.
So we start off the episode with Nandor talking about his various correspondence that he has kept in this little chest, and that he's going to be checking his electronic post.
Yeah, he has 700 years worth of correspondence. He said, like, some of them were. One of them was this funny, like they slaughtered a bunch of people, but the letter that he didn't read was someone surrendering.
The general,
yeah, the guy was surrendering. He's like, oh, oops. But anyway, yeah. So now he asked Guillermo to get the computer because he's going to check his electronic mail, which he hasn't checked in 10 years, he said, right? Or maybe even.
Now, I don't know about you, Clay, but I was trying to figure out what kind of a Mac this was.
Was that a Mac or was it
Oh, it was definitely. I mean, it was an
PC?
Apple.
It looked like an Apple. I don't know. Couldn't tell. I'm not a Mac guy, so.
They
It
do
had
have
the
that
Apple logo.
black. They do have that black version. My friend used to have one of those. It was a 2005 or 2007 MacBook. You could get a white model or one that was all black.
Yeah.
I think that sort of seems like a Nandor type of thing to do. Is get the 2005 Mac.
Well,
and it plugs right in.
Yeah, he plugs it into the Ethernet. So
what was really funny is that I would during that I just had to do a ninja move with tell Stacy. I had to mime over to Stacy to have her go into my this like rear drawer over there to get my manual plug-in headphones because my Bluetooth headphones started having this high pitch. It sounded like a bat, a vampire bat in my ear.
Bat. Well, there we go. So we're all having these problems, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, Nandor was.
Could it be that we're cursed?
Maybe it's the curse of Bloody Mary.
Mailer day, man.
So yeah, he plugged into the Ethernet and he says, "I am familiar with the ether." I thought that was great.
And he like the way that Nandor, like he loves Guillermo, but he like really does give him a hard time. Like he like makes him like just feel uncomfortable. So Guillermo like moves over a little bit because he's
he just
close.
Looks at him. I mean, well, because he maybe doesn't want him reading his email. That's what I got out of it. Hey, I got some private emails here. And then, I thought it was kind of hilarious because I mean, obviously he's gonna have problems remembering how to do this probably. But Nandor's like, if that's all, I'm just gonna leave now. I'm like, that's not gonna work. Oh, Nandor. I mean, Guillermo, you silly fool. But he thinks he wants to leave, but he has an email though. He has two emails.
But that was funny. Over 10 years, he has two.
He has two emails. Probably has a lot in his spam folder. But it was Hotmail, right? Was it Hotmail that he was using?
Yes, he was checking his Hotmail. And he couldn't remember the password because you get Colin Robinson trying to get a little bit of draining in, but instead he remembers that his password is an impenetrable fortress.
That's right.
And that's his password. So he gets two emails. Now this one I didn't see it coming, but it's such a good setup for a joke. But it's also like it's a reference and a callback. So his two emails were from Fandango.
Yes.
Which is very specific. And there's a reason behind it. And so but we'll get to that. So he opens, and then the other one, of course, is the curse.
Yeah, the Bloody Mary curse from like over 20 years ago, I would assume. I mean, like, I don't remember when these things were going around, but everybody got them probably back in the day that said, if you don't forward this to 10 people, you will die a horrible death, basically. There were different versions.
The chain letters, but
yeah.
Apparently this is still a thing because I've heard about it from my daughter. And,
okay.
And it's still something, but I think it's gone to like. Yeah, I think it still is just
more like a Slender Man thing, kind of now.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it ties in with Slender Man, but
But yeah, so if he doesn't forward this to 10 people, Nandor believes, because they're not really in touch with modern society. Nandor believes that it's true, and he will die a horrible death if he does not forward this to 10 people. Or he doesn't even think that. He just thinks he's going to die a horrible death. Let's face it. He doesn't even get it. It's only when he brings Laszlo and Nadia into it that Laszlo actually says, well, you just forward it to 10 people. Like, you just.
Yeah. Well, no, I love Nadia sitting there.
Yeah.
And then she's like, why did you have me read this?
Yeah, I know. Because if you've read this far, it's too late. She's like, well, then why did you have me read that far? That's classic. Nadia. And the doll. I love the doll is still there too, by the way. Like
just for a brief minute.
Yeah. The doll, her doll is still there.
Well, that's good because you don't want to you don't want to Ewok that doll. You know what I mean? You don't want to. You don't want to
Yeah.
Scrappy Doo.
Don't overdo it.
You don't want to
Ye-
Scrappy Doo that doll.
I don't remember
No.
Scrappy Doo being quite that horny, but yeah.
But yeah, the doll is a small doses character for sure.
So
Yeah.
then they get to the point of figuring out who to send this to.
Yeah.
And the first one that Laszlo finds is the business card for the poor fellow who
Circuit
worked at Circuit City.
Circuit City, I know. They're
Which
all
that
gone,
went out
right?
of business like
Yeah,
20 years, no, 10 years ago. Let's see.
At least
I'm gonna
10
look
years
it up.
ago. At
probably
least 10
about
years ago.
10, yeah. But Tim, who worked at Circuit City, is it Tim, I think his name was? They were like,
Yeah,
oh,
Tim.
sorry, Tim.
But kind of like that was kind of like a little bit of a callback too when he's like, I got this for Steve. And he's like, taking the waves to the camera. He's like, hey, Steve. And he's like, hey, Timmy. Like he's
It's like, sorry, Timmy.
The last Circuit City store, I had my intern look it up, is closed November 4th, 2008.
12 years, really?
12 years.
Wow,
Yeah.
even longer than that. Circuit City, where service was state of the art, right? That was their.
Yeah.
So
then they go, should we forward this to Count Fandango?
Count Fandango, yes.
Which, if it didn't come around to Laszlo saying it, I wouldn't think this. However, in the other Matt Berry show, Toast of London, that I talk to you about all the time.
Yes.
Oh, excuse the dogs for a second here.
All right.
Good
They're
lord.
cursed.
Cursed.
They're cursed.
The dogs are cursed.
Well, Dursin, if Sam stepped away, we could tell people that are maybe listening now that are just tuning in for the first time because they've never heard of us and they'll soon get sick of us. They can join us on Facebook at League Podcast, but we also have a What We Do in the Shadows, the Vampire Council Facebook group, and it's a fun thing I'm doing is giving people like vampiric nicknames when they join the group.
Oh,
so
good.
Over in there, and I post some memes, and I started getting it way too into it. You can definitely quarantine time. I'm like going on Tumblrs and the other groups and sharing stuff around, but having a lot of fun over there.
Very good. So go to Facebook and find the Vampire Council Facebook group, and well, not the What We Do in the Shadows Vampire Council.
Yeah.
There might be a Council of Vampires on Facebook for all I know, but yeah. So okay, Count Fandango.
Count Fandango. Yeah, sorry about that.
That's okay.
So in Toast of London, the main character, Stephen Toast, he does a lot of voiceover work. And when he's doing it, there's a specific producer in the voiceover booth named Clem Fandango.
Oh.
And so the ongoing joke is like, yes, I can hear you, Clem Fandango. So the second he said Count Fandango, I just lost my shit because I knew it had to have been somebody like who's like, well, Clem Fandango, Count Fandango. We got to we have to incorporate this somewhere.
Wow, that is a deep cut, though.
And I'm sure Matt Berry and all those guys are involved with the writing and stuff too. I mean, they have ideas.
Yeah.
Well, the script is apparently, according to Matt, I read an interview with Matt Berry, and he said that the script is sort of a guide. So much like Curb Your Enthusiasm, the other podcast, the other show that we do a podcast about, one of the other shows, I guess, but yeah, the other one that we do a deep dive on. Yeah. So we like shows that don't have real scripts, I guess.
I guess that was why I was just like, it's saying that the other email is from Fandango just to set up that joke. It was just too specific. Do you know what I mean?
No way that just happened.
It's like an Easter egg. You caught it. I'm sure like lots of other his fans too, like might have picked up on it. That's real cool.
Yeah, so they're basically on a hunt to get 10 email addresses, and now they have 2. They're like, all right. They think that they have until midnight to do this. And so they're kind of like, I think they're happy that they came up with 2. So meanwhile,
and is that when they go and try to get Colin's email address?
Yeah, I was gonna get to that. Yeah, but I forget what the order of the scenes were, but yeah, they do go down to Colin Robinson.
And he invites them into his room, and they say no.
Yeah, they're like, no, it's all right.
Vampires must be invited in, and
Yeah.
they're in. He's in their
Yeah.
house. And he's like,
He
"Come on in," and he's like, "No
Yeah.
thanks."
Like, no
So-
thanks.
So I mean the curse, which the episode is called The Curse. However, that is actually really the B storyline
Right.
of the episode, because while this is going on, Guillermo's been sent out to get Tide pens,
That's right.
and
Yeah.
he goes to the mosquito club again, the
The
vampire
mosquito
hunters.
collectors. Yeah.
Yeah, and they are gonna go out on a hunt.
Yeah, it's time for their first hunt. Now he thinks that they're just going to practice and so he brought like wooden stakes with him. And he's like, yeah, I thought we'd practice a little more. They're like, no. Craig Robinson is back as the hilarious leader of the mosquito collectors there. And they're like, no, we're going for a real hunt. And, like they do that big reveal thing again where they run around and pull the like screen down or whatever.
Change the lighting and
Yeah. And like they're like, oh yeah, this is our first hunt. And he's like, oh no, I think I could use more practice with the crossbow. And they're like, no, we're going out. So yeah, that was pretty great. And so but I have a question. I keep thinking, is there a small part of Guillermo that isn't, he says he's infiltrating the group. Is there a small part of him that's kind of like maybe subconsciously that wants to give in to the vampire hunting and go
think that
with,
I don't know if self-consciously describes exactly. I think it's just a supernatural kind of thing where his, it's like a dark side, light side kind of thing.
Maybe.
More defined. Like it's
the universe is pulling him towards this.
Yeah.
Maybe.
It's
Yeah, because he's
within him.
obviously very distraught because they actually said, we think we know, the girl from last week who said my roommate got turned. I think I know where they live, and they describe a house with topiaries. First, they have trouble saying topiary. It's pretty funny. Yeah, like it's tulipary. And then another callback to a previous episode. He said, "Do they look like vaginas?" And she's like, "Well, they're sexual in nature," is what she said.
She said pornographic.
Pornographic. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
And so he thinks it's their house, the house of his vampires. And so he is very distraught. He's like, oh my God. And he starts kind of hyperventilating. And Craig Robinson says, yeah, I like that. Breathing exercises. That's good. Get yourself pumped up. But he's like, oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God.
I think even in the first episode this season, he's like, they kind of says something to the effect like, those guys better watch out because look what I have in my mini fridge here, which is like all these steaks.
Yeah.
Those guys better not boss me around too much and stuff.
Yeah, I think there's like a,
and even the artwork for the season is like the vampires up front, and then Guillermo has a gigantic spike, and he's coming after them. So like maybe that's just the underlying like we'll see this build to the end of the season.
Yeah, we'll see.
I don't know. I mean, I'm really actually I'm having a little bit of like it kind of bums me out a little bit.
Yeah, I'm kind of like I want him to just be the familiar for forever. But
I watched the movie today too, and the familiar like eventually becomes a vampire because Nick bites her.
Right.
Yeah. Stuff. So you never know what could happen. Maybe he'll become a vampire.
I hope he just. I don't know. It's weird.
I think Craig Robinson's going to become a vampire.
Oh, that would be so good.
Yeah, so they hop in the van. This van, it's a catering van that they have to get back to one of the. I forget Derek or whoever. His mom has a catering.
I think it's Derek.
Yeah. We have to get the van back to Derek's mom by morning.
Because she's catering a quinceañera tomorrow.
Yeah, it's like
that explains all the
shrimp
back here.
Yeah. So
shrimp
like
is
it's
the
funny
ultimate
too.
Comedy food. Like Tim and Eric awesome show, like shrimp and white wine. Shrimp and white wine.
I want to say too, like they did a big. I don't know. Maybe you guys remember better than I do. Like they involved the camera crew a lot more in this episode. So like they note that Guillermo brought his camera crew,
Yeah.
document the whole thing. And they're in
Yeah.
the van with them. Actually, they even wave to him, to the camera crew a little bit. It's pretty hilarious. But yeah, he talks to the
We need
camera
to
a
get
lot.
the word out, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, like the Baron is like, what's it? He comes out of his cup and he's like, oh, what's
Yeah,
this?
yeah.
Oh, they're the camera crew.
But they're very, they're in this one quite a bit, so it's pretty funny. So yeah, they're eventually they drive to the house, and it's not the same house. They drive, but the topiaries are shaped like balls instead of vaginas. So they are pornographic in nature, I guess, but not.
So Guillermo hops out. He's like, there's nothing pornographic about them. They're just giant balls.
Yeah, right.
He kind of like sideways.
And then he kind of thinks about what he said.
And Craig Robinson has like a series of like, it maybe it's only two, but he keeps saying like, I think I smell vamps, and then he keeps saying, let's eviscerate some vamps.
Yeah, like, you ready to kill some suckers?
This overconfident amateur vampire hunter.
Yeah.
So they go in and they look, and there's all these weird ass photos on the walls,
like real 70s, like the Shining, obviously, but like
obviously
real
Shining.
70s.
Well, Rachel noticed that it looked a lot like the house from the movie. I don't know, Clay, since you watched the movie today, maybe I don't know. She thought it looked similar to the house in the movie.
You know what? I was thinking that that the attic looked like the same attic as.
Yeah, I think that was kind of what drew us.
Redressed it, you know.
Yeah, they probably did. Yeah, but I like it too because they go in it's all ghost hunters. Like,
they have the first-person cameras on.
Yeah, they have like GoPro type things on their heads, and they're running around and
like whoever finds this.
But like Guillermo is pleading with them to just leave. We're breaking and entering. This is not vampires. Like, this is just a regular family. Let's just get out of here. And there are these two girls sleeping. Well, we don't know they're girls, but two people are sleeping in a bed. He's like, see, if they were vampires, they'd be awake now because it's night. And they're like, oh yeah, maybe you're right. And then they go all shining on him, and they're literally standing right behind them. These two twin vampire girls with the pointy teeth and everything. And it's pretty creepy for this show. I'll be honest with you.
I did notice, like, when I watched it, because like I watched it like a couple times, but like as soon as they go in, they start looking at those pictures. It's like it does kind of look like 70s, or like the way Riverdale does it. Where is it now or is it in the past? It's like I was like, those look like really 70s pictures because the guy has like a huge mustache and stuff. So these guys are all vampires from the 70s.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, they are. They are vampires. Then there are a lot of them living in this house.
Yeah, I mean, so they, chaos starts just raining down upon them. There are vampires coming out of everywhere, and Guillermo escapes, and nobody else does, and he just kind of stands there. And I was like, okay, so this is exactly what I thought was going to happen. All the vampire hunters are going to kind of get wiped out.
Yeah, I thought that was it for them.
And but then he goes back in.
And he has a cross. He has a crucifix, so like just
made out of popsicle sticks.
Yeah, the popsicle stick
can just like put them at bay for a little bit. But I mean, those guys are in real danger, and he just like busts out his awesome vampire hunting moves and kills a bunch of motherfuckers.
And he's going through rescuing everybody, and then I love when he looks down the stairwell and Craig Robinson is being spun around like a pizza, and that moment killed me because it was just like I said, like you guys report, it's like he's going into this being like, yeah, we're gonna eviscerate some vamps,
Vamps.
And
I think I smell vamps.
Yeah, and then he ends up shoot himself in the foot with a stake too?
I think so, yeah. And he's like screaming, and like they're just like completely woefully unprepared, I would say, like to deal with this. And the vampires are coming out of like everywhere, and they're just like, but they're not even like killing them. They're just kind of like, it's like a cat playing with a toy or a cat playing with a mouse, just kind of like batting them around.
And Guillermo is like, get out of here, and he's like, I'm trying. It hurts.
And he goes in. There's one of the girls ran into a coffin to like get away, which is the dumbest thing I think you could do, right? So Guillermo goes. he throws her out the window to get her out.
Oh, I think one of the
like,
guys
oh my
was
God.
about to feed on her.
Oh,
Yeah.
she was in the coffin with a vampire.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
vampire grabbed her and pulled her in there.
Right. The vampire was in there. Okay, I didn't know if she hid in there or because I thought she was
I
like
thought that too, actually.
talking to the camera a little bit too,
Yeah.
saying like, okay, whatever. But yeah, I love it. He throws her out the window, and then he does a little Peter Quill action, like giving them the finger as he also jumps out the window.
That's right. That is Peter Quill. I
Yeah.
had seen it like recently, but I was like wondering what it was. I was like, was that from fucking?
Well,
you know?
I don't know if that's the impression I got after he put the bomb on Thanos and then went like boom, and then he like zipped out of there. But yeah, so Guillermo uses his vampire hunting skills or killing, I guess. He went like Punisher to make another like left and right. And they get back in the van and they're like, well, we still got to get the van back to Derek's mom. I love that.
But Derek's not in the head count. Derek's dead.
Oh no, I think he was driving. No, I don't think.
No. They were like, we still need to get it back to his.
Oh, because he's dead. But they still
because
have
he
to
was
return.
gone. Yeah, he was gone.
Right.
The passenger seat was empty.
I mean, she's probably gonna still cater that quinceanera tomorrow. With her
Oh
son
yeah.
missing and dead.
Hey, you got all that shrimp. You can't go to waste.
That's right. Maybe he's just out partying. He had a funny. Guillermo had like funny moments, or a couple funny moments, because he was like Guillermo was like bouncing shit off of when he was like, "Oh guys, we don't need to go out and hunt. Let's just practice." He's like, "Derek wants to practice the crossbow." He's like, "No, I don't." He's like, "Yeah, you totally."
Yeah, you said
like,
you,
we've
you
never
told
talked
me that
out of here. And then he goes, "Were the what did they look like vaginas?" And Derek, because he's such a virgin, is like, "Yeah, you just said vagina." He's like, "My man." He's like, puts his hand out, looking for a high five because he just said the word vagina.
So chaotic. I guess I didn't notice that Derek died. I also want to note, I forgot to mention this earlier, but like they're going through the record collection. I think Derek is going through the Vampires record collection when they're in the house and they're playing "Don't Leave Me This Way" by Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes, which is a fun little song to play in the background while he's killing all these vampires.
And when he's looking, somebody mentions another song. He's like dancing in the moonlight. Man, vamps must really dig that tune or something like that.
When they're in the van, they're listening to "Set It Off" is the name of the song. Just a little trivia there.
I was
shout out
that song because it sounded like it would be pretty easy to find which terrible like Linkin Park, Disturbed band that was playing that song.
Oh,
I'm not as familiar with new metal as I should be, and I wish I knew what the band was.
I don't know what it is. It's just a bunch of names. I don't know who they are. It's probably just some. But I found it on TuneFind, which I just found out was a thing.
Oh,
if you type in "what we do in the no, I just Googled it. Yeah. But yeah. So yeah. Meanwhile, like while all that is going on, they're still trying to gather up these email addresses, and yeah, they talk. Colin Robinson puts them to sleep basically by telling them like he's gonna email it out to his coworkers. Well, first of all, they're getting his email address, and which they're like, I love how he's like, let me write it down, and they're like, no, just tell us. You can just tell us, it's fine.
And he's like, whoa.
It's like, well, that pen doesn't work. Colin Robinson, and then so meanwhile he has put them to sleep, talking about all the people that he will now forward it to when he gets to work, and if Becky gets it, talking to.
I'm gonna get a talking to if it gets to Becky.
Yeah.
And Laszlo is like, come on, man.
Yeah. Laszlo has no patience for Colin Robinson. I mean, none of them really seem to care, but he really doesn't have any patience for Colin. But they have a midnight deadline, so he's kind of like, come on. So yeah, they finally get them all out, and they think, oh, I forgot the demon. Yeah, as Clay mentioned earlier, they try to send it to I don't know.
It must be the circuit. It must be the Circuit City.
Yeah, this is Circuit City. Yeah, and then they get the they get like the bounce back, and they're like, "Mail a demon!" Oh, and they're all scared.
One of them was to Sir Bob Geldof at Yahoo.com from the Boomtown Rats, which is famously the song "I Don't Like Mondays, I Wanna Shoot." It's like one of the first videos on MTV.
Look
And in
at
that
you.
video, Bob Geldof really does look like Viago. Like he looks like one of the vampires. He looks like fucking Tom Cruise in Interview with the Vampire. He's got the
Nice.
puffy shirt. He's got the big
Yes,
old Dave Vanian 1981 hair. Like it's fucking awesome.
Fantastic. So they succeed in getting their 10 emails, and Guillermo shows up and
well, yeah, he's knocking on the door because they're not even. They're like, "What if? How do we know the curse is broken?" And they hear like a knocking. That they think like, "Oh my God, it's someone coming to kill them." And they open the door, and it's just Guillermo covered in blood. But they don't notice at all. In fact, Laszlo says, "I like your tie dye. Did you just go to a concert?" So,
yes, I did.
yes, he said yes, I did. There was
So
another great moment, even actually, when Guillermo thought he was going to their house, he tried to call them, and they didn't want to answer the phone.
Yeah, and he's like leaves
Yeah.
like a creepy.
Well, he's trying to whisper it in the back of the van
Hey,
while
but
they're on their way there. Get out of the house! You're all gonna
Yeah, he's like,
die.
"You're going to die. You're going to die," and they think that it's part of the curse that they're going to die.
I like
So-
how Laszlo keeps referring to the story of the person that was gutted.
Yeah.
And
Did I tell you the story? Yeah.
Yeah, but he keeps like
guts
saying
is-
it as if like it was a story that he's known like for like 50 years or something. It's like we
That
all read
happened
the
to him.
email.
They're like, "Yeah, we know. You don't have to tell us."
But he does it like 2 or 3 times.
Well, I love, and they're all hugging at the end, and Guillermo is standing there. He wants to like hug with them, and they're like, "You don't know what we've been through."
Yeah.
Meanwhile,
vampires
he
only. Vampires only.
yeah.
You don't even know what it's about.
Yeah, like meanwhile, Guillermo just like killed a bunch of vampires and narrowly escaped with his life. And
Yeah,
they're
in a way, trying to protect his own coven at home. That's why he went to
Right.
this thing in the first place. They don't know like what threats are out there.
I know, it's just so funny how oblivious. And they were afraid of a fake email chain letter. But yeah, so good. But so then, like, yeah, the final scene, Dandor is lying in his coffin about to go to bed, and I guess so. It's Guillermo's job to close the coffin on him. I guess. And,
I love how in all of these, like, how mean they are to the familiars. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, but the familiars love it. The familiars love them.
Yeah, they
Stupid
love
familiars.
Yeah.
when they find the keys under the planted the pot,
Oh
next-
yeah.
Yeah.
like familiars so stupid, like that.
And Guillermo's like, no, they're not.
Oh yeah, no, they're not. They're not. But yeah, so anyway, Nandor said, "I just went through this horrible ordeal."
And you've been gone
Okay.
this whole time. You
Yeah.
didn't even ask.
He says, "Can you wait here for a few minutes until I fall asleep?" It's just like such a nice, like it's like a little kid. It's so great. And of course, Guillermo is says he'll do it. And then like yeah, he closes the coffin and he starts to leave and he says, "I'm not asleep yet."
He's like a 5-year-old kid.
Yeah, he is. He's like, "I'm not asleep yet." So then he goes and sits back down, breaks out his Tide pen, and starts to, wash the blood off, which is he's covered in it, so it'll never work.
We should also note that Nandor mentions that, the word is that there's all these vampires being murdered. So
That's right.
It's getting around. Like what's going on is the news is kind of spreading. So we gotta see where this goes.
Yeah, there you go. Guillermo might get fingered in the. The other thing I
I don't know
forgot.
about that kind of
topiaries?
show.
Yeah, the topiaries. Yeah. The other thing that I thought was really funny too is when Guillermo comes back, he's got the Tide pens. He says they were on sale, so here's your change, and he hands Nandor some money back. He's like, "You get extra money back," and he's like, Riches, because the email said
unforeseen.
unforeseen riches. So like, yeah, because if you send it to 10 people, you get wealth, right? That was the chain letter. So yeah, that was great. But yeah, so yeah, the vampire killing is getting around. It's
Let's
very
not
interesting.
forget that Laszlo popped a chubby hugging the other vampires when they were.
Oh, did he? I don't even think I caught that.
Their group hug, and Nadia goes, "Really, Laszlo? Now?" And he goes, "Oh yes."
Oh yeah.
Hey, he's
He's a virile.
That's right. And that's his wife. It's not like, I mean, it's his wife and Nador, but it's his wife. It's not like,
Anything goes
that
with
creepy.
Those guys, Anything
Yeah,
goes.
that's right.
Yeah,
Oh, but yeah, so another great.
Let's talk predictions though, guys. I mean, like, I want to know your opinions on where you think this storyline is going.
I've said my piece. You guys go.
You said your piece.
You think that he's gonna actually get to a point where he's
Van Helsing. He can't help it. It's just like it's just like fucking.
Yeah, but at the same
Vader
time,
in the Force, man. Vader in the Force.
I think that there's in this type of a show, there's equally as much chance that they'd be like, oh, your DNA results were incorrect.
That's true. They could totally do that. Be like, oh, sorry, you're not.
Because I mean, he's Hispanic. It's not. He's
I know. There's no way that he's like Eastern European or whatever Van Helsing was. I think there's a chance. I mean, like, I think it's gonna go right to the edge though, where like he's about to like give in. It's more like Luke Skywalker, I think, than Darth Vader. I think he's going to be like, no, I'll never. At the end, he's gonna realize that he has to stay with his vampires, and yeah, he might just as well realize that. Yeah, that was all false. I think that would be a great comedic, device there.
Like,
he
where
just
do you want
gets
to
like
see Guillermo in season 3?
I mean, I don't know. I'm just glad. I don't know. What were you gonna say?
I would love to see him either. I mean, I don't think there's any way that they can make him a vampire. It's just not gonna. That takes away from so much. However, him being given some sort of like guardian role over them from the Vampire Council, where they're like, you're in charge of this household, like, make sure that they don't do anything. You know what I mean? That would be a funny twist in the dynamic. I'm really hoping that Greg Robinson becomes a vampire, because I could see that going so many funny ways.
That would be hilarious. Yeah. I don't know. Like I see Guillermo season 3 as not too much different than where he is now. But I am happy that he's getting like his own adventures. Like he's going off on his own storylines and everything like that. So like either way, it works for me. But yeah, I want to see. I'm glad he's doing his thing, like apart from them. So
do you think we'll get a call-in episode like we did last?
I don't know.
Last season.
You're talking about like when he had his girlfriend?
Yeah.
I hope so. I don't know. I'm always happy with more Colin Robinson. But
well, we know from the previews of season 2 that at some point Colin Robinson becomes the ultimate power, and he's got a full head of hair and stuff. Like, so I'm waiting to see where this comes into play.
Oh, you see more of that than I have. That's cool.
I don't know. I mean, the great thing about this episode, I think, is like Guillermo's storyline and their curse thing did kind of like, they didn't intertwine necessarily, but they were kind of related, because they were for a moment you think that, like, because they think they're going to die, and Guillermo thinks they're going to kill them, like they're going to their house to kill them. So it is kind of like, I like how the stories do overlap, I guess is the word to say. So whatever happens, like I think the writing going forward will, hopefully we continue to see that, which I think we will, because the writing in the show is so good. So. yeah, I don't know. So good.
So it's such an enjoyable show.
What's the
Start
next
Yeah.
episode called? Do you guys know?
I don't know. Maybe if you had bought the season instead of cheaping out and only buying
I'm
one episode.
gonna probably buy this buy the season now. I'm gonna have to complete my season.
Hang on,
which
I
is
have a
Colin's-
look
oh,
here.
just what I was asking for. Colin's promotion is the title of the next
Episode 5,
episode.
Colin's promotion.
There you go.
Colin Robinson gets promoted at work, and his new power threatens the balance of power of the vampire. So this is exactly what I was probably talking about. So here's the Colin Robinson, Opus episode where he's going to get to shine a little bit. I mean, I already get that kind of feeling from him.
Yeah, he has
kind of done a really nice job of like laying this groundwork where it's like he really just does not give a fuck, and he's like.
Right.
Like when Guillermo is fighting with Toby, like Toby falls and
Yeah, Toby's pretty much done.
I'm sure he might make another appearance. There's got that those zombies have.
Oh
to
no, I
make it.
just meant like in that episode. I guess.
Yeah,
before they're
yeah.
taking Back to it, but he like just fallen down like the whole flight of stairs, and
He
like,
got
huh.
flipped over. He got flipped over the railing, and he's missing an arm, and he's just laying there. And
kinda
Colin
like-
Robinson's like, "All right, see you guys later."
Yeah, like he kind of like walks. He steps over Topher like as if he was like a skateboard or something, or like
right. He doesn't.
Yeah.
He just doesn't. He
or
doesn't
like
care.
somebody has like a bunch of like their backpack. It's like in the middle of the floor. You're like, oh, what's this? Oh, just step over that.
Yeah, he stepped over a zombie in that same way. Yeah, I think Colin Robinson is. I kind of feel like it's always kind of been his thing. Is he doesn't really care that much about things that aren't really that don't concern him, right? I mean, he's kind of just.
I got that email address because I like to travel.
I like to travel. Yeah.
And then he's exhausting the vampires too. Like they're just like, hurry up.
That's
and,
I mean, it all comes back to the first season. I mean, the first season he definitely was not as. I don't think he was quite as like brash as he is in this one. Like this one, he's a little cocky with his abilities. And I mean, even in the first, I think it's the first episode, Laszlo says he's like, that one grows stronger by the minute. Like, and there has to be something to that, like where he's essentially just been draining everybody.
Yeah,
And
maybe.
And now even thinking on it, what if Colin Robinson is behind telling Guillermo that he's a Van Helsing?
Oh,
Because of this awkward energy that is now in the household.
but that might be it. My goodness, that would be hilarious. We know he has a lot of internet savvy.
And also, I think like Colin and Guillermo are kind of like they're both just like chaotic neutral. they're both neutral to each other. Like they don't interact really. You know what I mean? Like they don't like Colin's not feeding off Guillermo or anything. Like maybe Colin's like.
But maybe he is.
Guess he's the
is.
kind of vampire that he is, but he's the most human. But
Well, yeah, because he can go out during the day and he has a job and whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, well, this will be interesting. We'll have to wait and see where this goes.
He's plugging along.
It's growing stronger by the minute.
Keep on trucking.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, but I mean, he's had some funny little moments this season with his grandmother and all that stuff, the up dog joke. But yeah, this will be good to see him shine for the whole episode.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, another great one. Again, the writing is so good. The music is really good, as we detailed. Everything. The show is. I hope it keeps on trucking because it's definitely my favorite show going right now. Even if it wasn't a pandemic, I think I would make this. I would obviously make this like appointment viewing, and yeah. I think that's all I got.
Last year, I bought the season in advance. I like only do that for like 1 or 2 shows a year. That and Doctor Who.
Yeah.
Oh, very good. Well, yeah, I'm in for the long haul. So, yeah, that's all I got. I don't know if you guys have any final thoughts or final words, but
Come
I-
join our little Facebook party, our little group.
Yeah, and go listen to Sam's other podcast, right? Should we?
Yeah,
we
so
plug
I
that?
just,
Yeah, okay.
just started a new podcast with my friend Brad, called Horror Dads. And
Nice.
our first episode is up on Spotify right now and should be up on Apple in the next few days. So
All right, look at that. Horror Dads, go check it out. And yeah, check out Sam's stuff on Monsters Are Good as well.
Yep.
Yeah.
Temporarily, it's at monstersaregood.net.
Oh, okay.
Just temporarily. It will be back at monstersaregood.com soon.
Okay.
You should
Hey.
have got the dot pizza.
Dot pizza.
That's a thing.
Yeah.
Oh, all right. All right. Well, then Monsters Are Good Pizza maybe coming soon. I don't know, but check it out at .net, and I'll put it in the show notes. And yeah, thanks for listening, everybody.
Thanks, you guys. Having a ton of fun so far.
Yeah, enjoy. Wash your hands. Stay
Stay
healthy.
tuned. Vampires only.
That